Because when we sit in silence, it's always beautiful when we can go beyond. Just like the bird can fly and feel the freedom in the sky. When the soul enters the sky of silence, it just feels that it's going beyond all the limited, beyond the physical, and beyond just what happened a few minutes ago, hours ago, or days ago. It's like there's a pull to go into silence deeper and deeper. There's a pull to allow the mind to be so quiet, so peaceful. But for this I need to go beyond. Just let everything go. Nothing to hold on to. Just a thought. Silence. And my mind becomes silent. It's like being suspended in a beautiful state of being. Feeling the quietness of the mind, the stillness of the heart. Just like as if I was in a beautiful sky of light, with nothing but light just all around me, and I'm just flying free beyond. I am detached, yet full of love. I am beyond, yet not afraid. I let everything in the past to be in the past. I don't worry about anything. I'm in a world of light, and I myself am a being of light, and I allow my mind to be quiet, to be silent. Only pure and positive thoughts resonate in my mind. Good wishes for all. Respect for myself, and faith in life itself. I don't have to worry or to think about anything. I just can let it be. So I let it be, I let it go, and I let it flow. Okay, good evening. Hello, Shanti, welcome. Good to see you all. Can't remember who has been here last Friday and the two previous Friday. Anyone coming here for the first Friday in the series of cleansing the soul or cleansing spiritual cleanse? Have you been here before? No? This is the first one, and first one as well. Okay. And you've been there, so we may just improvise a little bit. Hello. So what we've been actually looking at, every Friday night there's a lecture in English, and it's okay, right? Everybody is English minded at the moment. Switch English. We do have French lectures on Wednesdays, but on Fridays it's always in English. And normally there's a regular Friday evening, but the last two Fridays we went onto a topic called spiritual cleanse. The idea behind cleaning the self is actually quite lovely, because anyone here doesn't like to take a shower? Anybody who hates really showers and doesn't like to feel clean and really likes the smell of uncleanliness? Not sure, right? I don't think, or probably the person wouldn't raise their hand. But I don't know. For me, I know I like to feel fresh and have a great shower and, wear fresh clothes and, have fresh smell, lavender, eucalyptus. A very friendly environment, isn't it? And we like it. And I think that there's an external cleanliness that is very pleasant and that we enjoy. But I'm not sure how much we know about internal cleanliness. I don't know how much do we connect with the idea that sometimes the problem is that the mind is not just confused, but it's actually a little bit dirty. And we don't associate those words cleanliness with on a spiritual level, because actually the reality is not that we want the self to be clean, but the word we use in spirituality is the self to be pure. Because pure is more like to do with like an ingredient which is pure. It's very, now it's something we want more and more. We realize that all these impure ingredients, all this additive and genetically modified food and everything you put into the food. We used to say when you have more than 4 or 5 lines in the list of ingredients, and that you don't have a clue of any one of them, that's normally a sign you shouldn't eat this stuff. If you don't recognize any of those names on the list of ingredients, and mostly they have letters and numbers, this is not a good sign. With my sister a long time ago, we used to joke and sometimes eat something and look at the list of ingredients and they say, oh, there's some E32B. This is a really good one. Do you like that one? The E32B? The, how do you call it? Additive or fake flavor, but we used to joke like that. So we like the ingredients to be pure. And I'm not sure if we always realize what it is when the inner being has been removed from that kind of impurity or that kind of external negativity that doesn't really belong to the self. And the philosophy of Raja Yoga is actually quite beautiful, and it says that the soul, the being, we call it the soul, you can call it the spirit, the being, the energy within, that living energy that is manifesting now, the energy that allows me to speak, the energy that allows me to think, to be in general, that energy can really operate on different frequencies. And there are frequencies that are a little bit agitated when there is anger, confusion, worries, anxiety, fear, pain. These are levels of frequencies where, as a being, I'm a little bit peaceless and unstable, confused, and negative, basically. Now, I think we've learned to live with that, with a certain percentage of negativity all the time, and we think it's normal. And we take it for granted that this is human life. grumpy one day, happy next day, in between most of the time. And we go like this, and something happened, I'm worried. Something bad happened, I feel pain. This is normal. This is human life. Until you walk through the door of a Raja Yoga center and they tell you, maybe not. Maybe there is a possibility to live differently. Maybe there is a possibility to clean the inner being so that certain things that are there on a permanent basis can suddenly disappear. And the magic of thought is such that creating thoughts that are so powerful and pure, when those thoughts change my reality, then you start to believe in it, because it's not a belief system, but it's just a fact that we have learned to change thoughts, change my reality, and change how I feel. And suddenly the negativity I used to feel in front of a situation, I start not to feel that negativity anymore. Situation is the same, but I don't feel negative anymore. The fear I had suddenly is not there. The impatience I had suddenly is not there. The lack of love I had isn't there. The lack of happiness isn't there. Do you believe in that? Yeah, we can all take an inner shower and see how we can remove the self from little dirt and dust and this. So the first 2 evenings we went on the first Friday, and the second one was about, one is to identify what we want to remove, why, and what will be the consequences. And the thought was that what really is creating the pain in the self, or the limitation in the self, or the lack of happiness, because sometimes we're happy, but we're not as happy as we should be. What was really creating that is, remember those 3 little devils that we should run away? The defects, the weaknesses, and the vices. And they each have really, and that's what we did. So those who want to re-listen, it's on YouTube now. So each one has a very specific impact. Weaknesses, defects, vices. It's totally different things to deal with. And once we can remove those slowly, what we experience is that you acquire abilities, strength, and you have an awareness, you have wisdom, you have a great understanding of what's happening. And this is what we want. And the result of that is purely the level of happiness that increases all the time. And we believe that life is meant to be lived happily, and that pain is only a symptom of something going wrong within. In the same way that pain, physical pain, is a signal that says something is going wrong here. It shouldn't be, that pain should be removed, unless, of course, there's certain pains associated with age and things like that. But usually a pain is an indicator that there's something that should be fixed. So the lack of happiness should be an indicator that there's something going wrong in our head, but we don't pay much attention to it. We think it's normal. So this is where it becomes a little bit, okay, can anyone fix me? Unfortunately, if you find a person, please bring a lot of business cards, because we all search for the magicians who can just look at you, do abracadabra, and then that's it, and you are pure and happy forever. If you know anyone like that, well, you wouldn't be here anyway. I don't know that person. We even think that probably even God, if God exists, wouldn't be able to just do like that. Otherwise, it will have been done long time ago. So, if nobody can change me within, snap of a finger, who is going to change me? And the concept we use in Raja Yoga is, well, unless you find somebody else, it's a good investment to start with myself. And the spiritual journey, what we understand to be a spiritual journey, is what do I do to change myself? And the slogan we're using is, if you check correctly, then you can change. Until you check, you can't change. If your car is not moving and it's not starting, you can look at the whole car as long as you want and say, I don't know what's wrong with it. You can look at the car, it won't help much. You have to check it. Open the hood, look underneath, do something, look, check, and then we can change. And in the self is the same thing. But the problem is that we don't know the self. So we don't know where is the hood, where is the, don't know any of terms of mechanics, or where is the pipes, or where is the, it's called a bougie en anglais. Anyway, we don't know any of these little ingredients, so well, where do we check? And this is why the first aspect of cleaning the soul is about understanding the self as a spiritual being. And we challenge everyone to use the thought, I'm a soul. Instead of I'm a woman, I'm Canadian, on this, I'm a soul. And try to see what comes up when I say to myself, I'm a soul. And the thought is, I'm a soul in the body, and I, the soul, I operate. So I'm not 20, 30, 50 years old. I'm a soul. My body is, like a car in 1962 and 1930 or 1990, whatever. But it's just my body that has that age, not me. And if we use those thoughts, see what happens. And what we realize with practice of this kind of thinking, and not just that thought, but many thoughts, which we call meditation. Meditation is just practicing a certain type of thoughts, which we don't use normally in the day. So by practicing meditation, what we have found is that suddenly changes happen in the self. Changing the thinking suddenly translates into changing the being. And suddenly we find ourselves more peaceful, more patient, more tolerant, more courageous, stronger, stable, detached, helpful, benevolent, generous, and you want me to continue? The list is quite long, little by little. And only one day somebody tells you, oh, you're so patient. And you realize, 3 years ago, no one would ever tell me that. But suddenly those kind of abilities or strength or awarenesses or wisdom start to emerge in the soul. Because we've removed from the soul the negativity, the weaknesses, the defects, and the vices. So what happened is that then we gain abilities, strength, and wisdom. So the thought initially is to create soul consciousness, to create an awareness of the soul. And then the second idea last week was about what if we connect with a higher form of awareness, appreciating the force of life itself, just turning towards not just me alone, because this could become a little narcissistic meditation. I, me, and myself, and it's nice. And a little bit of checking of the self is good. But what about opening up a little bit? Opening up to the life forces around me that are beautiful. I'm sure you've always had a moment in your life where you contemplate something so simple, like a flower. I'm in love myself with those flowers. I like those, but I like the hibiscus. You know hibiscus? And what is really nice to do is a hibiscus or hibiscus, whatever, is to look at really close, like really, really, really close. Take even a magnifying glass, and if you look at the main pistil or whatever it's called in the middle, it's fascinating. It's so beautiful. Nature is so amazing. No need to give you a lecture on that. Aspect of nature is incredible. Pictures of the world and the volcanoes, oceans under the sea, under the ocean. Life is incredibly rich. How much time do I spend being in the feeling of gratitude and the feeling of, wow, I'm on Earth, take advantage. This is a holiday. Next planet you get into, you don't know what it is. It might be really terrible. It might be with just mosquitoes and insects and terrible monsters, and your lifespan will be about 3 days of horror, and then you go away. I don't know. I don't want to be predicting, next bad trip. But this one is quite incredible. This little journey on Earth, however long it lasts, I have no guarantee. We don't know. We should enjoy it. This is a gift. This is an incredible moment. And to me, I keep reminding myself, hey, don't get lost with all these, I have to work. It's good to go to work, but I'm not on earth to work from 9 to 5. This is not my purpose in life. And we're on earth for what purpose? What is the purpose of being here? And so the connection, which we call yoga is a connection. That connection with a higher thinking is also a way to clean the self. Because what happens is that we are bringing energies that are a little bit bigger than my own. And that's good, because we can check and change ourselves. But we can also just connect with some higher energy and feel suddenly that there's an input, there is a kind of change that happens naturally. If you can drink water, it's good, but one day you may be told by the doctor, well, you need to take some, extra lemon juice or extra something that will help your system. So then we can improve our inner being. So yoga for us is connecting with the self, but then we connect with a higher sense of purpose. And last week we were talking more about divinity or the sacredness of life, opening up to this concept that there is something bigger than me. Some like to call it God, and it's okay, the Supreme. Some like to call it life energy, doesn't matter. Whatever we feel we associate with in terms of understanding, that connection is important. We would argue that someone who is very religious, well, when they practice their religion properly, they feel better. And those who like praying, in prayer, they find some kind of inner peace. The problem is that they just don't pray enough, right? They don't find the time or make it happen. So it's not working. It's just they don't do it often. So connecting with this kind of higher energy is the second ingredient that we wanted to propose for spiritual cleanse. And the third one is actually an ability, I would say, to imagine what would be the quality of my being in its own fullness, in its own cleanliness, I would say, and in its own perfection, in its own accurate being. So fullness, cleanliness, and perfection. And it's kind of interesting because, we don't know any of these. How do you look like when you're full? You know how you feel when you're full after eating too much, right? Does it happen to any one of you? Can I confess? At least once. It's so good. You eat, but then after, taking 2-3 times, you feel, it's good, but no, I think I'm really, really full. I don't want to eat anymore, right? Not too full, but just that fullness. Sometimes you feel, oh yeah, it's good. I'm not hungry anymore. What is the equivalent on a spiritual level? How does it feel to be love-full, peaceful, knowledge-full? How does it feel? When do we say, oh, I have enough love, that's okay, I'm full? Have you ever had that feeling? I don't want to be loved anymore. I'm loved enough. Doesn't make sense, no? But the fullness of love is incredible. And for me, it's been probably the most incredible discovery of spirituality, that the heart could expand about 1 million times bigger. Not twice, but 1 million times bigger. And initially I thought that to me love was, well, you fall in love with someone, so at least you have one person that you have great love for, and then eventually you add a few things up, the dog and the house and the in-laws and whoever comes with it. There's a little combined family of people you love. And you have your family, friends. This is who I love. You admire a few heroes in life. What else? And make a list of how many people you really, 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 really love. And you'll find the list is not that big. So is that being loveful? Are we naturally loving in a subway when somebody bumps into me and doesn't even apologize? Is my reaction of kindness, or is my reaction as, hey, come on, please, pay? What's my reaction? Huh? But if it's a little child who bumps into you, he's so cute, he has such a beautiful little funny face. Same thing happened. The little boy or little girl just bumped into you. And what's your reaction? Oh, no problem, no problem. Yeah, you cute, you. Try that with a, strange person bumps into you. Oh, no problem, you're cute, you're cute. You know what I'm saying? Might get a very strange reaction. But why? Because a little child gives me satisfaction. I love it. I take pleasure from it. I'm consuming actually the beauty of that little flower. But for the average normal person who doesn't really inspire me, or if it's a how do we call it, if you're in a subway and then the person who bumps into you happens to be the world's most beautiful woman or man, whoever you prefer, I'm sure you would say, no problem, fine, do it again. Isn't it? Don't care. I mean, it's, whoever is your fantasy, that person can bump into yourself, and you might actually answer what you always wanted to answer. I was just waiting to fall into your arms, and then you just you'll make it happen. But if the person doesn't appeal to you, hey, why? Be careful, please. Watch your step. Where is my love? It's very conditional. Very, very conditional. Very conditional. Why can't we be loving no matter what? Either being a homeless person, either being a squeegee who jumps on your windshield, or being, very attractive person who asks you, the time, and instead of giving him the time or her the time, you give him or her your whole life story, and then it's very conditional. So now to reach that, I think we need a vision of how we look like in our fullness, in our completion, in our purity, and in our perfection. And actually they are the opposite of being defective, weak, and vicious. It's like we started with removing those three, but then the final cleaning process is about the sparkle of what does it look like when we're without it. And it's a bit like the cleaning of the clothes or whatever. You put the soap, and then, when it spins, I have a very old washing machine, and put your soap in, and what you see is your clothes spinning in dirty water, basically, isn't it? It's just like for 20 minutes, and then it's just the soap is doing its work, but it's still in dirty water. And then it rinses, and then you add your little softener or whatever, smells good. That's a process. So in cleaning the soul is a little bit the same. The idea of check and change is about really putting the soap in. Opening up to a higher awareness is about really rinsing the self, removing everything by rinsing. And then third step is about really adding some sparkle. What is my fullness? What is my purity? What is my perfection? Perfection is not like superhero and go through the wall and can lift a truck, That's not perfection. Perfection is when I remove my imperfections, which means I remove what is not normal. And a perfect crooked branch of tree, if it's crooked, it's like that, but it's the way it is. So perfection doesn't mean all the branches are straight like this. So perfection doesn't mean that we're all the same and everything is the same. Perfection is just that I return to my, in a computer they say, do you want to put back the original settings? It's always a dangerous button to push. Do you want the original back to, I don't know how it says in English, but return to your original settings. This is perfection. Go back to the way you were made, because it was well done. No need to change it. So creating that image in Raj Yoga is really what in meditation we want to do when, what am I really? And in the philosophy of Raj Yoga, there's actually a very beautiful slogan in Hindi, and it says, Hum so hum. what I was, I will become that again. And the belief in Raj Yoga is not that we were monkeys and we're evolving towards some kind of very brilliant, intelligent human being, as you can see right on Earth right now. This is not logical. The level of craziness at the moment is increasing. And there isn't much real sense of improvement, really. I mean, there are thousands of people killing thousands of people, and the world leaders are really not, I think, that inspiring at the moment. And I know it's been like that for a long time, and kings in the past used to do pretty crazy things as well. The scale now has become a little bit scary. So the idea that we have is not that we're evolving, actually we are degenerating. And we think that in the origin, what all these civilizations have been digging out in Mexico and Australia and different parts of the world, and they see that the ancient civilizations probably didn't have iPads and cell phones, but they were pretty clever too. If you look at the way that the pyramids were built and what was under the pyramids, they still don't even figure out how clever it was, the way they set up those things. So are we really evolving? Are we losing something somewhere? I know our grandparents would certainly tell us we're really going down downhill. And most grandparents at every time would say, well, in my time, it was way better. We used to respect people. We used to have more regard for elders, many values. So the idea in Raj Yoga is actually that long time ago, the human spirit was actually quite high. No technology, okay, no, or not that technology, maybe had another kind of technology, not this one, but had a higher sense of values. And we lost that. And now the feeling is that this is the time to regain those values again. So just to provoke your spirit a bit, the image we use in Raj Yoga is when we look at those idols, the statues in temples and churches and mosques and synagogues, some don't have any, but all these memorials that show you people with their divinity. The strange concept we have in Raj Yoga is to say, these are the memorials of my original form. And if you look, we go to India, many of us on a regular basis, and there's a temple we go to which is beautiful. It's called Dilwala Temple, the temple with the heart, or steals your heart. And they have 108 little yogis, each one in their little, special room or alcove. And I'm sure you have seen some of those temples. They're beautiful. And each one of those 108 yogis are sitting in meditation. And not two are alike. Each one have a different eye or different things. Each one look a little bit different. And sometimes for fun what we do is that we're asked to go in silence from one to another, and we turn around and you look at the little yogi and you try to see which one you connect with. And really it's a good exercise, because I've done it a few times, and every time everyone always find one in particular. They say, yeah, this is me. I say, yeah, this is you. So those idols, those statues of gods and goddesses, we believe that, yeah, they might refer to mythology and old stories. But what about if they were an image of something which is living in me, but which hasn't revealed itself yet? It's like if you have in your garden a seed, but you never water it. So I remember one day I had the most bizarre surprise, and I was a long time ago, and I didn't know much more, but there's this big flower that becomes like a big trumpet. And I know it's simple, and then you cut it, you put it in the closet, and then it grows again. But I did it without knowing. I just involuntarily cut it because it was the end of the year or whatever. Then I put all my pots in a big closet I had at the time, and to pull them out in the spring again. Never thought just by cutting this thing And one day I opened the closet, I turned on the light, and I almost got shocked. And I saw this flower there, and I said, where are you coming from? You know, like, what happened to you? Like, how did you even pull out of here all by yourself? I was really, really shocked to see maybe not the flower, but it was the big thing was already out of the ground. And it was such a big surprise, you know, to see you've been sleeping all the time and you just waited for spring to come up. And I always love when you see, how do you call them, crocuses in spring. But one of the first crocus, les fleurs de crocus, they're the first one to pull themselves out in the snow. You know, sometimes it's still snow on the ground, and then suddenly that little flower pops up. And that's so beautiful. They just last a short time, but they're the first one to come up. So how are they sleeping in a frozen ground? And just when the time is right, they pop up again. So in the same way, we believe in Raj Yoga that deep within us, those seeds of divinity, they're there. They're right there. They've been there all the time. We've just not giving them attention. They've been in the winter all the time. And what they need now is a little bit of attention. And if we water them, give them a bit of sun, they will manifest. And what will be that manifestation is that fullness, perfection, and that purity. Because this is my nature. This is where the soul reveals itself. And the fundamental belief in Raj Yoga is that what I was, I will become that again. And the time is now. We really want, because people might say, do you have a proof? And I would say, I don't need a proof. I will be the proof, because I am what I believe. So the approach we have is to say, well, forget about proving God or not, or proving there was some dinosaurs or not. Doesn't matter really. What really matters is that if I believe that in me there is a seed of divinity, and that by giving that seed the light of understanding, the sun of understanding, the water of love, if I believe that by doing so the seed will bloom, fine, then just practice it. And after a few months, a few years, just see by yourself. And if when you die it's still very dry and there's no flowers, then you may think, maybe I was wrong. Sorry, it's a bit late to think you choose the wrong belief, but you will know beforehand anyway. But if after a few months, by paying attention, meditating, creating thoughts, practicing certain things, using thoughts in your belief system, and if one day you feel, yes, that fullness, that purity and that perfection is starting to shape up, then I don't care if my belief is right or not, it's working. And that's the one I want to use. See, it's not about being right or wrong in belief systems. It's being who I want to be or not. That's where the belief really is important. And that's why we feel that it doesn't really... I will never argue myself with somebody about what they believe and what I believe. I would say, whatever you want to believe, it's fine. People believe in UFOs and stuff. I don't believe in it, but I don't mind. If somebody, by believing it, becomes a mentally stable person, it's fine. If by believing it, they become really strange people, killing others because, you know, UFOs have told me to kill everybody around me, I would say, I have a problem with your belief system. Because they make you do things that are really a bit strange, which I don't agree with. So what beliefs I want to choose, that's up to me. Either are they right or wrong? I stop wondering about it. I don't care really. I just want to see what are they producing. And this idea, I'm what I was, I will become again. In my case, I find it's a very powerful idea. It's a thought that gives me hope. If I say I have to become full and become perfect and become pure, and this is new territory and I've never been that, it's like I have to create the wheel. But if I'm told, you were that, this is your nature, this is how actually you were as a soul, not as Eric or as a person, as a soul. That's what I was. And I'm going to become that again. And the beauty is that by becoming that in this physical body, in the next little while, I will have a chance to see it. If I just become a pure soul when I'm without a body, I don't know who sees it and what happens, but it wouldn't be in my lifetime, so I don't know. We want to experience it right now. We want to experience in our lifetime what it is to be full, what it is to be perfect, what it is to be pure. So that is a third process. So the first process is about thinking of myself as a soul. So my raw material is the soul. And by doing so, I'm evoking the nature of the soul. The second aspect is about connecting I, the soul, with everything around me, so that that connection allows me to grow, allows me to be bigger. And particularly the feeling of being grateful, the feeling of being in awe, amazed by the beauty. That makes me humble. We always say that the more I'm grateful, the more I become humble. The less grateful I am, the more egotistical I tend to be. So it's very powerful to be grateful. You'll find that humble people, they always thank others. They always praise other people, isn't it? Those who have big ego never praise anybody, except those who give them money and power and this and the other, or from whom they can get something. Humble people always find a way to highlight the quality in somebody else, not in them. It's humility. So they're grateful because they appreciate. Seeing the quality in others is actually appreciating the quality in others. And it's not easy. We did, I work on television, and the short piece we did one day was about young people connecting with elderly people who have Alzheimer. And the program wanted to expose, I'm talking about 12 years old, 13 years old youngsters, to expose them to elderly people who are basically suffering from a disease, from Alzheimer, so that they demystify the disease, so that in their life, young people, and particularly in our society here, many young people don't even know their grandparents. In some cultures, you live with your grandparents live with you, you know them. In our society, quickly you go away, they're in another country sometimes, and sometimes we don't know well the grandparents. And then when they're too old and they're in institutions, we don't see them the same way. So they found that young people today don't have a good image of elderly people. They may be scared of them, they are very judgmental, and when they see some elderly person with a disease, they think the elder person is the disease. So that program was meant to connect both generations. And what I really, really liked, the little excerpt I took from one young girl, and when I was asking her something like, so how do you connect with these people? And they say, I said, are you not scared sometimes? Because they could be, people with mental disease could be a little bit aggressive or surprising. I said, are you not scared? No, she said, I'm not scared. I discovered, what I like in them is that I found that each one has little qualities, but sometimes they're hiding those qualities. But when you start to see it, it becomes more, they start to use it more, and I can see it. Something like that. And I thought, okay, I'll give you an honorary degree for Raj Yoga. Like you're Raj Yogi right away at 12 years old. But the way she said it, that she said, those people, they have qualities, but they're hiding them. And they, sometimes if you know them, that's what she said, when you start to know them more, then those qualities are more visible. So it's beautiful that the quality is there, but you don't see it. If you approach someone sometimes in a different context, again, the person bumps into you in a subway, the same one as half an hour ago, he's back in a subway, and again he bumps into you. Your reaction is, okay, pay attention. And what you don't know is that person might be the kindest person on earth. But when that person bumped into you, by mistake, you didn't see that kindness, isn't it? And yet, that kindness, he's full of kindness, but you didn't see it, because that connection was not like that. So the concept is that when we start to appreciate other people and appreciating their qualities, it enhances my own qualities, my humanity. So gratefulness, being grateful, is very powerful. And then the third level is about the final image of who I want to be. What is my aim? What is fullness? What is perfection? What is purity? And the more we visualize it, the more, when we check and change, this is the way we go. If we say to people, when people come to meditate, we ask them, what do you want? And usually it's like coming to a store and say, I want just one candy. Okay, but you didn't see the sign out there? The sign says take whatever you want. It's all free, and you can take the store. No, just one candy is fine. Why? Because they've been thinking about one candy for a long, long time. And now they're coming into a store, and there's a million candies, but they thought they only need one. So when people come to meditate, sometimes I find it's the same thing. What do you want? Oh, a little bit of peace of mind. That's it. There's nothing. I mean, peace of mind is the beginning. Don't you want being happy full? I don't know, doesn't exist, but to be full of happiness? It doesn't come to their mind. Because it's like if you have a cold, or if you have a disease, and somebody asks you, so what do you want? I just want to get rid of this, I just want to rest. Just give me a little, apple cider, warm, that would be so great. If you're in pain, you just want a little bit to remove your pain. At that time, you're not saying, I'd love to go around the world and see the lions and the safaris. You're just focused on your cold. And it's just a little thing. But that's all we care about at that time, isn't it? So in the same way, I find that when people come to meditate, they ask for very, very little. I was the same. Actually, I came to meditate. I just wanted to concentrate better, so I can be more lazy and pass my exam without studying. That was my equation. Meditate a bit, you concentrate better, you study less, you succeed more, with less efforts. And when I told that the person who was giving me the course, she was thinking, I'm not sure. If I tell him he's really at the wrong place, I'm losing a client. If I tell him, yes, of course, you'll definitely gain that through meditation, I'm lying. So she didn't say much. And I quickly realized that this meditation was absolutely not to be more lazy and succeed more in school. That was not the concept. And so the same way I came and I asked for little. And very, very soon I realized, whoa, okay, this is not what I came for. This is way bigger. And as I said, there was a time when I realized that you can love a lot of people. And it's a different type of love, but it's an expansion of the heart, which actually is not that it's conditional and selfish, but when it's true love, the immediate reaction is incredible sense of wellness and happiness, because it comes together. Tell me that when you're in love with someone, you're not happy. I know that terrible songs, I love you, and the more I love you, the more I suffer. But I don't know, these people were singing. They got it wrong somewhere. I think they're making up beautiful poetry, but no, unless I'm wrong, when we love someone deeply, the feeling is happiness. Think of your little grandchildren or your children, your wife, your husband, your parents. When you love them, you feel happy, isn't it? So I realized that love one day was actually, I really like that image. I was just like a little raisin, those little shrinked grapes, and then in English you say grape when it's full and raisin when it's dry, is it? So, and when it's dry, and you forgot it in your cupboard for about 10 years, and then it's like a rock, it used to be a grape, but it became a little stone. And I think our hearts have become a little bit like that, pretty shrinked. And you say, how much do I love? Oh, just few people. That's really little raisin. And if we water it, it just expands. But not just like a raisin. For me, it became like a watermelon, you know, just my little rock became suddenly a watermelon. I thought, so how much bigger are you going to go on like this? And I found there's no limit. And that's why they say, for example, God is an ocean of love. And we think my perfect stage, perfect self, is to be also an ocean of love. And who do we admire in life? People who have been giving that love. Nelson Mandela was a man who didn't seek revenge after being jailed for so many years, right? And he was able to give love to those who kept them in jail. You know, he was very loving towards those who were actually keeping him in jail. That is kind of a big love. Christ, to me, has always been the image of incredible love. Who hasn't seen those movies at Easter time, in black and white, of the life of Jesus? I was 14, I remember very, very well, crying like, you know, this whole movie, watching Jesus and thinking, oh my goodness, I want to be like this. And then they made different version, Jesus Christ Superstar. That changed a little bit. Suddenly I was a bit shocked, and you know, Jesus playing heavy electrical guitar. I thought, oh wow, this is getting new now, right? This is just changing the version. But I like the old versions. Easter was I've always said, to me, I think one of the best movie ever made will always remain the life of Jesus. It's pretty dramatic, you know, whatever happens in that movie. This big blockbuster movie from Hollywood today. Okay, yeah, nice Star Wars and all this. But Jesus movie, I think they were pretty impressive because they were inspiring. You know, they were really, I mean, if you watch Star Wars, I don't know, I'm not going to buy zoom, zoom, you know, this kind of thing next day to go out in the street and say, hello, zoom, zoom, how are you doing? I wouldn't do that. But when I watched Jesus movie, I was going out the street like this. No, I'm joking. I was going out the streets feeling I should love everyone, you know, because that was the message. Isn't it? What we have been told in church so many times. You know, love each other as a brother, as a sister. Give the other cheek. Doesn't matter what they do to you, just give them love. We've been told that. But we got frustrated because it didn't work. We didn't become it. It was there on the wall, but didn't become it. So this is the difference where when really the process of changing my thoughts, my feelings, my awareness become real, become like I do love people. I do tolerate quite a lot with love. And I do become more patient. And I do encourage people. I do find time to be, you know, aware that this is a big world family. And doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what they do, it's my family. When this kind of thinking comes up, I think the flower in the basement is starting to say hello. I think I want to come out. And then we get courage, we get hope, we get faith that this is working. But the image is, what do I want to become? Who am I when I'm full, when I'm perfect, when I'm pure? How do I see myself? And it's just a matter of developing that vision little by little. Can you imagine yourself today loving those you don't love? Just try to imagine now. Go back into a scene where you were with someone just a few days, few weeks ago, and it didn't go too well. Try to relive that scene and imagine how would I be if I were to be more kind, more loving. Yesterday we had a group meeting and it was beautiful. The thought came that, how would I translate that? We should be kind. The word was, in French it's kind is nice, gentil. And it's a word that in English you can say you're very kind. In French, I guess, I don't know, maybe we're less kind in French, I don't know. The word gentil is a bit strange, right? T'es gentil, assez gentil. Yeah, we use it too, yeah. It's kind, gentil. In Quebec French, it's t'es fin. You're thin. Doesn't translate in English. T'es fin, tu sais, t'es super fin. It's kind of a slang word for you're kind. And I was just afterwards thinking, love, kindness is a little, it's love, it's kind of a love 2%. It's a light form of love. Special love, homogenized and 2%, no fat, It's a no fat love, it's called kindness. Don't get too attached. It's not too heavy either. If you just tell the person, I love you, you're the love of my life, that's a bit intense, Particularly if you meet for the first time. This is a little bit intense, And if it's the person who bumped into you in the subway and you turn and say, I love you, you're my love of life, this is too much, Go with kindness, 1%, no fat. Works much better. So, kindness is a beautiful thing. So, do I see myself, is my fullness, is kindness part of my fullness? Is it like that? That we're just kind. And it doesn't matter what people do, just let's be kind to each other. Which means, let's not hurt each other. Just that. Is that part of my fullness? And if I see myself a little bit like this, imagine yourself being proud to say to people, from the last few months, few years, very involuntarily, maybe I caused sorrow to someone, I don't know, but I don't think so. It's not, is it not something that we want to achieve? Because it is beautiful. And not just because it's good to be virtuous, but that being so is actually how I can love myself, how I can respect myself, how I can trust myself, how I can have regard for myself. If I hate people and I hurt people, do I love myself like this? Some people like themselves like that. And the more violent and the more rude and the more angry they are, the more they're okay with that. Okay. That's they are still in the basement and there's no flower coming up at that time. But if I want to be rising flower and blooming flower, I may want to reconsider what do I want to be when I'm full. And that fullness is inspiring, really, because we start to believe in ourselves. For me, honestly, I've been working for a long time, trying to be loveful to everyone. And every time I see it's failing, I know it's okay, what's wrong, Eric? Why can't you... If I'm honest, I would say certain people, it's not that I really dislike them, but I don't generate a kind and loving attitude. I know it. I fake it. To be honest, we can fake it because I'm French. That's how we do it. Hello, so nice. Your eyes are beautiful. Yeah, I know. I've learned all those poems and songs and tricks. So yeah, French, it's like that. Just joking, okay? Any French here? Please forgive me. No, because we do it with style, right? They say French have romance and all this. Well, it's just now I've learned to be truthful, and if I'm going to be kind and loving, should be truthful. But that's part of my image of what I want to achieve. And every time I find a new I was going to say new trick or new technique to become that more, I find so happy. And it's so nice that when you realize that you don't hate someone anymore, and that you forgive people, and that you let go, and that you get detached. These are different steps. And when that goes on, the result is you feel, wow, it's like I lost weight, and I lost a big amount of weight, and I'm more happy. And we want that. And that's when I feel I'm moving closer and closer to my fullness and my purity and my perfection. So what I was, this is what I will become. So this will be the third. So I know it's a big stretch. Who am I? What am I? How do I connect with the sacredness, the divinity, and what is my goal?
How do you love someone who has hurt you a lot?
How do you love someone who has
hurt you?
Well, you have to think of what kind of love would it be. And you may want to see that love has many faces. love someone that you admire, that you decide to give your life to, that you're going to live with, a husband, a wife. That's an expression of love. Seeing a murderer who has committed horrible things, the question I would ask myself is, how would God love that soul? And it's not the same kind of love. Do you speak Hindi or Tamil or Tamil? I'm sure in Tamil it must be the same. How many words in Tamil for love?
Many.
Many. In English and French, we're a little bit, we just got lost in translation. We don't have that many. In English, they have I like you, I love you. At least it's good. In French, there's only one left. There's no like or love. It's just the same word. Yeah, appreciation after that. Yeah, that's like, nuance. But the real word for love in French is only one. And in Hindi and in Tamil, there are many. And they're very different. They're very, very, very different. And that's what I like about languages. Some have been expressing, and if you think about it, in front of a murderer, in front of, I don't know if I should go that route, but there was, not too long ago, someone who was elected at the head of a country. Somewhere. And some people had an immediate reaction of anger and dismay, thinking, my goodness. And then when we saw what happened, that there was not really a great love. And our senior in New York, I called her and I quickly felt, what should be my spiritual thinking? Because I was aware that this was a very interesting situation. And I was honestly questioning, what should be the right thought to have? And I knew that to just criticize and blame is not very spiritual. Now, I was like asking you, like you are asking me now, I was asking her, what should be my thinking? And she shared a beautiful thing. She said, well, the thought that she was entertaining was, what do I want to be part of? Do I want to be part of the increase of negativity and anger, or do I want to be part of the generation or the creation of peace and respect and dignity? And so her thought was that what that soul needs is her good wishes, not her judgment, condemnation, reproaches, because technically that person hasn't done anything to me. He's who he is and is doing what he's doing, but he hasn't done anything to me. So why would I just send that soul curses and anger and hatred and criticism? There's a reality. I'm not saying that we made that soul an angel. It's not the point. The point is, what is my feeling? And so my feeling is creating good wishes on the basis of mercy, compassion, and the thought that I hope for you, soul, that you find a way to create elevated actions that will generate goodness in the world. That's the only thing I can wish for that soul. If you see a soul that has a hard time to walk, the only thing you should say is not, why are you not walking? You look awful. You look wrong. It's not a nice thought to have. Person has a handicap. But to have the thought, which you see in a movie, stand and walk, it's great. So the thought should be, I hope for you that you will not feel the pain. I hope for you, one day you can walk. Why not? That's good wishes. So for those souls who have hurt us, somebody who has hurt me, I want to create a thought that allows me to maintain my self-dignity. And my self-dignity is to think, you didn't hurt me. I was in a situation where I didn't know how not to be hurt by you. But now I'm regaining my dignity, and now today I know how not to be hurt by people anymore, because I'm regaining my strength, I'm regaining my self-dignity, and I would know today better what to do not to be hurt. So whatever you did it. And maybe sometimes it's too early to forgive, but it may not be too early to say, to free myself, I would generate good wishes. In Christianity or in religion, they would say, may God have mercy on you, right? Or may God, have pity on you. Sometimes we say that, it's not very nice. Oh, may God have pity on you, means may kill you, right? That's what you really want to say. So I'm careful with that word. But the intention is good. It's not on my resort. It's not in my hands. It's not for me to judge people. It's not me who is going to hold at the end the big, we call it the you have to face your destiny. Each one will have to face what they have done. That's my belief. Somebody does wrong, it's not my role to punish that soul. That soul will be punished on itself. Wrong brings wrong. Pain brings pain. It's not in my hand. So if somebody has done something wrong, one day, sooner or later, they will collect the fruit of what they have done. And it's not for me to punish them. There are legal things, that's for the external things. Internally, they will suffer for what they have done. So I'm not to punish them. But as a friend of God, I want to give them my good wishes. So, and I wouldn't close with that. The head of this organization one day, there was one person who did something pretty intense, very, very negative, against the organization and the whole thing. Pretty big defamation. And so most of us felt, wow, that person really... but we were trying to have nice thoughts, but we couldn't have nice thoughts. But one day, when this head of the organization met with other people, and one of them told us what happened, everybody was telling her, you should do something. I mean, this person did something terrible. And then she said, I'm only thinking, actually, what can I do to help that soul not to suffer for what she has done? Because she knows that the suffering of what she has done will be very intense. So her concern was more like how to help that soul, so that, this is like, you're talking about extreme advanced course of Raj Yoga. And so everybody else in the room was thinking, oops, no, we were not preoccupied very much by allowing that soul. Because if you look on a soul level, it's a different from a human level. You would say a person has hurt me, but actually that soul in that person is unconscious. That soul is completely disconnected, and it's like a handicap soul. It's like a totally defective soul. So then the thought is, may we have mercy on that soul. May that soul find, because that soul is going to hurt more and more people, and it's going to create a big chaos, and that soul is going to suffer a lot. It's going to be painful. So my mercy would be, my self-dignity allows me to start to rebuild myself. I'm not a victim. And now I can give that soul mercy, compassion. It's an expression of love. I was saying kindness is an expression of love. But forgiveness, mercy, pity, compassion is an expression of love. Does it help? Or it's hard. But I've done it with situations pretty intense in my life. Things that people would say, Eric, I always share that experience many times, but when I came to Raj Yoga, and they told me that you have to love everyone, forgive. I said, are we allowed for an exception? Because I have one clearly in my head, which I'm not going to forgive. Forget it. This is way too impossible. Not after what that soul has done. Impossible. And we're talking about hurting like higher scale. And I said, no exception here. And to be honest with you, that soul today, we're very close, and there's so much love, really. And I forgive, because I know, under circumstances, everyone can make big mistakes. They can be misled by their own feelings, their own thinking. Jealousy can make people do crazy things. They're good people, but they got a virus. They got a big virus, and that's called jealousy. And that jealousy drives them crazy, and they're not themselves anymore. And so the good wishes will be, gosh, you're sick, you've got the virus of jealousy. May you be free from that virus. Because if you remove jealousy, you'll see it's all in your head. You know, your wife or your husband or your friend, whatever, has never cheated on you. It's all in your head. And the more you allow it to be, the bigger it becomes. And the more crazy you become. Isn't it? It's called jealousy. So, we're entering interesting things, right? That's part of scrubbing the self and cleaning the self. So, spiritual cleanse. I think we should do 3 more sessions. We call, spiritual cleanse, going deeper. Part 2.
Deep cleanse. Deep
A
cleanse.
deep cleanse, yeah. So I'll stop on that and hope you enjoyed. I mean, the purpose again is not to promote any truth at all. It's just to provoke thinking, allowing everyone to question the way we think. And I think that the process of if I change what I think, I'll change who I am. So it's good to be a little bit challenged on our thoughts. I know I spoke very fast tonight, but I wanted to allow you to be at home before midnight. So let's meditate just for a few minutes again together, and that will conclude our 3rd session. So I sit comfortably. I breathe profoundly, slowly. And I just allow myself to go into a state of sweet silence. The silence of the mind. The silence of the heart. And it is as if my mind becomes such a good friend, and I can tell my mind, hey mind, just let us be quiet for a moment. Let us be still for a moment. Let us enjoy the silence in between 2 thoughts. So I think slowly, and I want to make every thought a beautiful thought. I know thoughts carry with themselves an energy. Thoughts are not just words, but they are energy. So a thought of peace brings in me the energy of peace. A thought of love brings in me the energy of love. So for me to become peaceful, loveful, I need to fill myself with thoughts of peace and thoughts of love. And it is very simple, just to keep practicing. I am a peaceful soul. I am a being of peace. My nature is peace. My principle guiding me in my way of being is peace. And my response to hate and violence is always peace. My inner strength is peace. My religion is peace. So very beautiful thoughts that generate the energy of peace. Allowing me to experience the richness of peace, the beauty of peace, the power of peace. Because when my mind is peaceful, then my mind is beautiful. And when my mind is peaceful, my mind becomes strong, stable. And in the same way I can create beautiful thoughts of love. Just imagine how love can just take birth in my mind. I don't need to see anyone in front of me, but just to concentrate on the energy of love, pure love, the love of the soul, spiritual love. The kind of love that connects me with the divinity in me. Love is sacred. Love allows me to expand my heart. Love is like a fountain. It bursts into my heart, and it gives me the strength to forgive. I can forgive everyone. Actually, it is not me who forgives, but love that forgives. I just allow the flow of love to love. And love becomes like a river. It just goes, and it will naturally reach the ocean. So I let love love. I let love forgive. And I let love expand my heart. And now my mind is filled with peace and filled with love. Okay, so just be careful, you still have gravity. You have to walk out. Not going to float through the walls. It's still, you cross the street when the light is red, green. I know sometimes meditation makes you a little bit cool. Just so let's come back on earth. And anyway, thank you for being here. Enjoy being with you, and that's lovely. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, let's inspire each other to move forward in that walk in life of love and peace and fulfillment. So all the best to all of you. Any complaints, you can go to the reception and they will refund you, probably. Good night. Om Shanti.